there, boys and girls, Lady Silver that's in here. This is going to be, I guess, what is it, part 18 to the video series that I'm doing so far, Living the Pagan Life. One of the things that a lot of people keep asking me, though, is if I could do a more in-depth look at how to write your own spells as well as how to make them work. So I'm going to put this together in one video. First of all, you really need to consider what kind of spell to write. Will it be a range spell, protection spell, or maybe a healing spell? Once you've gotten that down, what kind of spell you're going to do, consider your intent behind it. Do you want to make it rain because the plants are drying up? Do you know someone who's struggling and needs some protection? Or perhaps you want to actually help heal someone who's sick. Dig deep and really feel out the reasons behind why you want to do this kind of spell. You should ask yourself, do I really need to cast this spell? Make sure that the spell isn't going to harm others. Is it going to take away free will from someone? If your intentions are pure and not out of spite or hate, then you can proceed on from step number 2. The next thing you're going to want to do is really consider if you want to use tools or incense, herbs, stones, things of this nature. So you should be writing all of this down. Alright? This here, what I've got on the whiteboard, is the basic outline. Once you know what materials you're going to use, you're also going to want to figure out what kind of moon phases you want to work with, days of the week, colors, gods, goddesses, so on and so forth. And I combined all this in the part 3, just so you know that's where everything goes when it comes to your materials, the basic components of, the days or whatever. It all goes here. Now comes the fun part. You have all the basic criteria down. You can now start working on the actual writing of the spell, which I'll post a link underneath of this so you guys can go back to the pre-made spell that I sat in front of the camera and wrote up for you. If I remember, it should be Living the Pagan Life part 2 or 3, maybe 4. Moving on, part number 4 is the actual writing of the spell. That's what it says, write the actual spell. Remember, spells don't have to rhyme. You find a lot of incantations and things that don't actually rhyme. Alright, this happens a lot. Spells don't have to rhyme. It's like poetry. It does not have to rhyme. Rhyming is great, but it's not completely necessary. Also, write the spell as if you were going to cast it. In other words, if you say you're going to cast the spell on a certain day and in a certain moon phase, alright, that's the first place that you need to start. So if it's Saturday, say it's this Sunday on the full moon, then it needs to be this Sunday on the full moon. And then from there, you can go on to actually casting the spell after you've anointed the candles, you've cast your circle, and all the other stuff, okay? I mean, guys, it's real simple. If you can write it out very simply. Cast the circle, anoint the candle, summon your elements, and from there you can raise the energy, focus it, and then actually go about doing the actual spell itself. You should write the whole spell out and the exact way that you plan on casting it so that you actually have it in front of you and there will be no mistakes when it comes to casting it for real. Don't forget to cast your circle before the spell or remove it afterwards. Just make sure that you are working in a clean area and cleanse the room of negativity beforehand by sprinkling some salt water around and keeping a bowl of salt in the room to absorb negative energies. Smudging is also a good idea, so don't forget that most spells, unless specified, sometimes will take anywhere up to a day to 21 days to manifest, although most usually start working pretty quickly. A lot of it does remember, a lot of things to remember. One of the things to remember, have fun with these things, guys. One of the things to remember is keep things simple. One of the whole things about this video series is keep things practical and keep them simple. The bigger the spell, the more energy that's required, the longer it's going to take to manifest. When you're actually doing your spells, try to work them in a series of 3, 1 for nature, 1 for others, and 1 for yourself. 1 for nature to benefit it in some way, 1 for others to keep your magic from becoming too self-centered, and for yourself so you don't ever leave yourself out. By doing this, you're actually maintaining a balance in your spell work and not letting it become too focused in one area and not enough in another. Alright. We're going to move on. Making spells work. Once you've actually got your spell written out and everything's ready to go, look back and plan out the day based off your correspondence data that you actually want to cast the spell on. If it's a full moon, whenever the next full moon may be, or if it's a Saturday night, then the next Saturday night that you can work and will be undisturbed. For those who cast circles, you will be casting a circle, so follow the way that you normally do so. The more practice you get, and depending on the type of spell you are working, you won't need the circle all the time, but for these purposes, though, we're going to use one. So, make sure all of your tools for the spell are there on the altar and ready to go. You can bring the spell into the circle with you. You'll want to take notes on the feelings and impressions you get after the spell is done anyway. Do a quick double check. Make sure everything's where it needs to be. If you like to mark out your circle, you can go ahead and do so. Otherwise, go ahead and cast the circle. You're going to want to go ahead and raise energy once the elements and deity, if you choose to invoke them, have been invoked. You can raise energy by several means, through singing, drumming, chanting, dancing, and several other methods. Once you feel that the energy is raised to a point where it can't be raised anymore, then this is when you're going to focus and actually do the spell. While you're going through the motions of speaking the words, or tying knots and cords, and so on and so forth, you're going to want to go ahead and really start seeing yourself doing it all in your mind's eye. You'll want to see the spell as being completed with every step that you do until you are completely finished. Once you are finished, take a moment and really see in your mind's eye what you want to happen. Alright? You want to see the completed goal. Remember, the more energy, will, and focus you put into a spell, the more likely it will take effect sooner. Focus on this a moment and then release the idea. Let it leave you and move on freely to the universe to start taking effect. Personally, I like to write everything down right now after the spell's been done. But if you're one of those people that doesn't have anything else planned, then you can actually do this now. If you do have something else planned, please feel free to continue on and do your own thing. And then at the end, you want, basically, when it comes to the impressions and the feelings that you get, do it at the end. I really recommend, though, that people who do spells by themselves in circles, you can always take a few moments and write down your impressions and stuff while you're still in the circle, even if you do have something extra that you need to do. You don't want to forget these things, because later on down the line, you can look back to them and use them as a reference. After you've cast your spell, you can go ahead and dismiss the elements, deity, and the circle, clean everything up, and go about your business. Remember not to talk too much about the spell, as this causes it to lose momentum. A good example of how this actually works is that when you get angry at someone, the more you talk about it, the more you talk about it, the more you talk about it, the less angry you actually get, the less worked up you actually get. And it really works the same way with spells as it does in that manner. So, guys, put this to use. If you're still having issues with making your spell work, a few things to think about and consider is, well, were your intentions truly pure about doing them? Are you sure that the spell actually hasn't started working yet? There's a few different things, and maybe later on down the line I might make another video on it. But keep all of these things here in mind, okay? This will actually end up helping you make a spell work. This is crucial to making a spell work, okay? If you have a lack of focus, a lack of will, a lack of desire, and you don't have any kind of visualization backing any of this stuff up, thinking about the side effects and such, then your spell is going to crumble. Okay? I hope this helps a lot of you. I hope more of you who are trying to learn how to cast your own spells figure this out. This is Lady Silver Vixen. I'm signing out. Be blessed, everyone.